Jalen Duren had a fantastic start to the season, but is it possible that defenses are starting to figure him out a little bit as of late? We'll break it down and talk about it today's episode, Locked On Pistons Podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Khahil. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years, been a credential media member over the last 3 years. I appreciate all of you guys who make Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Also, guys, thank you guys for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. We all appreciate all of you guys' support. Later on, we will discuss, should Jaden Ivey start over Duncan Robinson moving forward, or when should that change eventually happen, if it should happen at all? And then I want to talk with Matt, who we have on the podcast. You guys are not watching on YouTube. Matt Griffin, friend of the podcast, is on. I'm going to tell him a trade that I am now. It's not simply, oh, maybe they should do it, maybe they shouldn't, blah, blah. Like, I have a trade that I'm completely on board with them doing. I want them to go make. A lot of you guys have been commenting on the YouTube, commenting on the podcast, saying, "Cool, you keep talking about they should make a trade for this, that they need this. Tell us the name." Well, I got a name. Now I'm completely behind, and I'll let you guys know who it is later on. But Matt, let's talk about Jalen Duren, because that's your guy, man. You've really become a big Jalen Duren guy. And look, people try to say I was a big Jalen Duren guy because of what he said about the podcast. And I look, I've always been super high in his offensive game. So, but I feel like even you have taken it to the next level. You've been like next level with how you feel about him. So,
he took his game to the next level.
Just give a quick explanation. Speaking of that, just before we get into some of the recent games, just quick explanation, like not too long, just quick how you feel about his overall season so far. I know we talked about it last week, but just give a quick explanation for everyone who didn't hear it then.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we talked about it last week. I don't know how you could give it any grade below an A, right? I know that we're going to talk about how, the numbers in particular have tapered off a little bit recently, and that's fair, but I mean, I don't know how you couldn't be super excited about his season. He just turned 22. Obviously, walking double-double. I know that you've talked at extensive lengths about kind of this new dribble drive game that he has, this new face-up game. He's sprinkling in jumpers, and I know it's not true, but I feel like he's shooting 80% on them. He's one of the best roll threats in the league. He's gotten better as a screener, gotten way better as a defender. Incredible offensive rebounder, which was put on display last night. Obviously, a really good passer when you consider how young he is, and obviously just his physical talents. Like I do still think the world of him, even if it doesn't quite look like he's making an All-NBA team anymore.
Yeah. So before we get into where I believe maybe defenses are starting to attack him differently, he's struggling with it. Overall, I agree with you. A season, I mean, this game against Dallas, we saw him hit like 2 jumpers. Like, he's doing more things offensively than any of us have seen him do, and he's doing it pretty successfully. Like you mentioned, I've talked a lot about his dribble drives, his roll threat, something we'll talk about later in the third segment. You'll see I grabbed a screenshot from a game, and we're going to talk about it. But, yeah, his gravity as a roller has been crazy this year. He's been tremendous.
The hands.
Overall, Yes, that he doesn't drop many passes at all. He's been very good, and he's one of the biggest reasons why the Pistons are first in the East right now. But I do want to talk about that. I do feel like you're starting to see a little bit more challenges come his way as of late, and I don't think he's adjusting to them quite as quick as maybe some fans would like to see him adjust to them. I know you have some things that you've seen, but I want to start off with what I've seen, and I want to hear from you. Teams are sending bodies at him, and he's struggling to handle it right now. On the rolls, he's there. Like I said, there's a screen grab I'm going to get later. There's multiple bodies in the paint, and he's not making the pass as quick as he used to, I would say, like maybe even 2 years ago, earlier last year. He's not making that pass as quick as he usually did. But really, I think the biggest problem that he's running into right now that's, causing him to have some – and we talk about he doesn't have as crazy of games lately. Like the last 6 games, he's still putting up 13. I mean, this isn't crazy numbers, but it's not like he's been awful. It's 13 and 8.
Right. He's still productive.
Right. But he's bringing the ball down a ton. He's getting ripped up a ton. He's getting the ball knocked away from him a ton, especially against Boston. That was a problem both times against Boston. It was even a little bit of a problem against Dallas. I thought Milwaukee gave him some issues with that as well. I feel like he's not. What's happening is that he's not used to this type of attention the defense is giving him. He was taking advantage of defenses, not really expecting him to be much of anything as a threat himself. And now defenses are adjusting to that. They're prepping for him and getting ready for his drives and swiping down at him and setting bodies at him. And it's causing a little bit of frustration and turnovers, some tough shots he's trying to take. I mean, this game against Dallas, he was 8 of 20 from the field. So I'm not worried about him. I do think that defense have adjusted to him, and he's struggling at least recently, to really find a counter to it so far. It's only been 6 games, but I think at the very least, we're witnessing defenses clearly have adjusted to him or are putting him high in the game plan now. Like, it's no longer he's sneakily at the bottom. Like, he's at the top of the game plan, feels like now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you just talked about, I think we hit on in the last show that I did with you when we talked about the 25-game check-in it was, or the 20-game check-in, quarter season check-in. Yeah, this is the sign of growth, I think, and it is not going to be perfectly linear. It's not going to come without hiccups. You're right. He is higher on the opposing team scout now. There are more bodies being sent at him when he drives, because teams know that that's a threat. They know that they can't leave their center on that island, all game, or else it could get pretty dicey. So, it'd be great to see him deal with it better. It makes sense to me that there are hiccups as this is starting to become a trend, I guess, as he is starting to receive more attention. And, like you said, it felt like the passing was maybe a bigger sticking point or a bigger part of the sell to us. Like, this time a year ago or even 2 years ago, I would have thought maybe if you said, hey, there's going to be a world where Duren, begins to really kind of take strides as a face-up creator to the point where teams are sending extra bodies at him, teams are sending help at him, I would have thought that's no problem. Like, he's such a great passer that he should be able to figure that out quickly. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it hasn't been enough time. Maybe, if it takes him 20 games to figure that out, is that figuring it out quickly? I mean, I would still say so in the grand scheme of things, right? He's 22. He's got a lot of basketball left to play. Like you said, this is not, he wasn't playing point guard necessarily in high school. I know at Memphis, like he's just so young in his basketball journey in that sense, and in this sort of new skill tree, I guess you could say, that he's unlocked. I'm not worried about it. And the thing on top of all of that is I don't really think he's playing poorly. I think that the rebounding last night, I mean, we talked on our last show that we did together about, when he gets an offensive rebound, it feels like it's less frequent that he's hitting that kick out pass, that he's finding an open shooter. I mean, he probably found 4 or 5 of them yesterday, I felt like, and I think Cade probably bricked 3 or 4 of those open catch and shoot jumpers. I think the process has still been fine. Like you said, the turnovers are ramping up a little bit as he's dealing with that attention. Yes, the drives have looked worse, but I think his game still looks as exciting as it did to me a month ago.
Do you think that there's anything the Pistons can do to kind of help him out? Or do you think this is kind of one of those things that you just have to let it ride out? He's going to have to learn and pick it up as it goes? Or do you think there's a way that the coaching staff can put him in a better position? Or where do you stand with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you just kind of got to ride it and let him figure it out as much as he can. Yes, well, you're being guarded by Anthony Davis, who I think, the box score doesn't look great, but I think defensively, Anthony Davis was phenomenal last night, like super impressive. And Flag was as well. So, whoa, I hit my mic. I'm sorry if that hurt your ears. But their front court was really impressive defensively. Flag was super aggressive as a helper too. So I mean, that's kind of just like worst case scenario, I think, if you're Duren and what you have to deal with on a night in, night out basis. So I mean, I think that you just kind of got to let him figure it out. Like we said, you had to just let Cade kind of run pick and rolls through the fire a little bit, right? To get to where we are now, where it feels like the right decision is being made all of the time. So I say just let it ride.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they're creating advantages within the half court. They're creating advantages for others. Cade, I think, is doing such a good job of orchestrating the offense and handling what defenses are throwing at him, which is opening looks up for Jalen Duren to then make the right read off of it. And look, like I've said many times, we've seen him make these reads before. We saw him do it in the playoffs. We saw him do it last year. I think it's just going to take some adjusting for him. It's something I don't think he's doing very well right now. But like you said, he's very young, and early in the season, this is something that young players are going to deal with. They're going to deal with, oh, I caught everyone off by surprise. Now defenses are paying attention to me, and it may struggle for a little bit. Maybe not as successful as it once at the beginning of the year, but doesn't mean it can't get back to that. He just has to, watch film and get back to it. I'm sure the coaching staff is talking with them about it. I'm sure that they are aware of it as well. So, look, he has so much talent and has been so good this year that I'm not like long-term concerned about it at all. But you do with it. I'll say it is pretty frustrating at times to see him catch the ball in the middle of the floor and see Duncan wide open in the corner and him not be able to make that pass. Or like yesterday against the Mavs, you mentioned that Cooper was playing super aggressive as a helper, and there were a few avenues or a few outlets that he had because Cooper was really flying in as a weak side guy to take away any look he had off his drives, and he just wasn't really seeing it quick enough. But like you said, it's something that he's going to have to deal with, and he'll develop as the season goes on. But it can be frustrating in the middle of the game. It definitely can be. Coming up, talk about Matt's favorite player, Jaden Ivey. Should he be starting over? Should Jaden Ivey be starting over Duncan Robinson? Should it happen now? Should it happen eventually? And what does it look like? We'll talk about it all coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. The season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag, and with DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. Those late night interviews hit, and suddenly you need chips at midnight. DoorDash is built exactly for that. If the group chat says pull up, DoorDash makes sure you show up. Prepared, snacks, cups, even a charger for the friend who's always at 2%. I may be that friend. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, and gear, whatever helps get you through the season, delivered right to your door. That's what DoorDash in your bag all season long. Then, I've got to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, one I use quite often, Rocket Money. Ever feel like your money just disappears each month? It happens so fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers that are in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances. Because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. Seeing all your spending on one dashboard makes it easier to understand where your money is actually going. Having the app find good times to save each month keeps you consistent with your financial goals as well. So, take control of your finances and cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Again, rocketmoney.com/lockedon to take control of your finances and cancel your unwanted subscriptions today with Rocket Money. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And if you want to take your fandom to the next level, you can join a Locked On Discord that has a Locked On Pistons channel that me and Matt are both in. You can also listen to the Locked On Pistons podcast ad-free, no ads. I know that would be great for all. I know you guys would love that. Also, you guys will be able to join and see merch store. You'll be able to get exclusive access to Locked On merch and plenty of more stuff. If you want to check out any of that, you can get it for just $5 a month. Check it out over at lockedonpistons.supercast.com. But all right, Matt, let's talk about Jaden Ivey, who obviously is a hot rod of a topic in this community. Yesterday, let's go backwards a little bit more. Before yesterday's game against Dallas, I came on the podcast after the game against Boston and was like, okay, I think we're inching towards the minutes restriction kind of being lifted off, or at least being extended a little bit, because it was the first time he crossed over 20 minutes. Against Boston, he played 21 minutes. It's the first time he passed 20 minutes in a game this season. And this game against Dallas was his, how many games has he played? How many games has he played so far this year? 12 games. He's at 12 games now. So after the Boston game, I was like, okay, we're looking, he might be, the minutes restriction might be going away a little bit. Then against Dallas, he only played 14 minutes. And that wasn't a minutes restriction thing. I don't believe it. It didn't look like it. It doesn't make any sense that it would be. The previous 3 games, he played more than 14 minutes. And it's going higher and higher and higher as the games went on. He did not play more than 14 minutes in this game against Dallas. I'm going to assume it's because JP Bickerstaff decided to go with Dennis Jenkins, who was having a great game in that in the fourth quarter, and he decided to sprinkle in a little bit of Marcus Sasser as well. Javonte Green, we know that he tried to sprinkle in. Caris LeVert was also playing quite a bit. So it looked like that ended up eating into Jaden Ivey's minutes. Now, later on in that game, or really earlier in the game, I should say, Duncan Robinson bumped knees with somebody, ended up missing the rest of the game. So I said yesterday on the podcast, this could be a chance for Ivey to take advantage. If Duncan Robinson ends up missing a game, I'd assume that they probably would start Ivey. And could he go into the starting lineup, play a really great game, and be like, hey, this is my chance. This is what I should be doing. I should be a starter. You guys got to make a decision. Sure, it could have been. But I have heard today that Duncan was practicing today and he was moving fine. It didn't look like that he was, dealing with anything. So I don't know if that's going to be the case now. So now we should just move and segue to the part of the conversation of, should Ivey just start over Duncan even if Duncan's healthy? Where do you stand with this?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Can
not.
you explain why?
I think I could explain why. I mean, well, I guess first I'll explain why from the Duncan portion, who has gotten abused defensively a couple times this season, especially by the Boston Celtics, most notably. Speaking of the Boston Celtics, Jaden Ivey fared very well defensively in that game. So hat tip to him. But I think when you see what Duncan when you just see how well that lineup has performed, or even just the foursome of Cade, Ausar, Duren, and Duncan, I don't really know how you can justify getting away from that. I mean, you're first in the East, right? Relying on those guys to the degree that you are and have. Duncan feels like he can't miss an open three right now. I feel like, man, actions for him on the weak side they cause so much chaos for the defense. I feel like
real quick to back you up. You mentioned the starting lineup. The starting lineup is plus 9.01. They have an offensive rating of 119 and a defensive rating of 110. Go ahead.
There you go. Which are both great. And I mean, but again, Duncan's shooting gravity, I mean, it's just kind of so OP. That one skill is so beneficial to a team that we've talked about desperately needs 3-point volume, not necessarily just for sort of the math element of it, but just so that Cade has some space in the middle of the floor, Duren has space in the middle of the floor, Ausar can roam the baseline from time to time. Duncan does so much work for making all of that possible and giving Cade the amount of space that he has, which is not a ton. And defensively, I mean, Duncan, again, there's nights where it could not be worse, for sure. But he is largely in the right spot. He gets the most out of himself. I think that he's talked about it, and he's referred to himself as a defender. He just wants to be annoying. He knows he can't really be good at defense or good at on-ball defense, but he just wants to be annoying. And I think he is annoying. He takes charges, communicates. I mean, they've just been too good. And Ivey has not been anywhere near good enough to justify changing that. I mean, the turnover rate is just way too high still. He's got less on-ball responsibility, and the turnovers have stayed a massive problem. He still hasn't finished at the rim. Those are the two biggest, worries, I think, for Ivey coming into the season. They have not changed. Defensively, there are nights where it looks better. There's nights where it looks really bad. He doesn't create turnovers. I just don't think there's just not enough there for me to justify saying that he should really take anybody's spot in the rotation right now. He makes catch and shoot threes still, which is great. He still rebounds the hell out of it, which is great. I'm not saying he's useless, but again, just not good enough for me to call for anybody's minutes.
Yeah, I think if they benched Duncan for Ivey, I think that would be insane. Like you mentioned, they've been so good with that starting lineup, so good that they're first in the East. Everybody
yeah, and Tobias has not been
first in the Eastern Conference. Exactly.
For what it's worth.
So they're winning games at a very high mark because of how well Duncan's fitting with them. To take out that player and to sit him, I feel like would just you must not be doing it because you think it makes you win, because they're winning right now more than anyone else in the East. Why mess with that? That's the most basic reason for why I don't understand why you would do it. Starting lineup's been great with them, and then I've brought up Duncan's regular on-off just himself. He's been fantastic. When he's on the floor, they're outscoring teams by 7.4 points per 100, or not per 100 possessions, but by 7.4 per. Yeah, 7.4 points per 100 possessions. My goodness.
But I mean, that's just what the team does, pretty much, right?
Yeah, basically.
Or so is it's on off nothing or close to nothing.
Because
Ivey, we're killing teams.
4.2.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I think Ivey's just plus 1.3 maybe.
Right. So like you mentioned, I'm going to read some numbers here. And I look, I'm not saying you're saying that you should judge Ivy off of this. He's still warming back up. I'm not saying they shouldn't play him, but in order to bench Duncan in favor of Ivy, Ivy needs to be playing at such a level that it's like, okay, we have to play him. And right now, he's just like he hasn't gotten to that point. You mentioned the shot creation and not having the ball in his hand as much, but the turnover rate still being as high. Like just to give you guys an idea, 35. This is from Jasper on Twitter. He tweeted this. I'm gonna use his tweet here. 35% of his field goals were assisted on the first 3 years in his career. This year it's at 71%, and despite that, he's still turned the ball over at an extremely high rate for someone that doesn't have that much of a high usage on ball. He's still turning the ball over a ton. And when he has been asked to create some and have the ball in it, like we've talked about this on the podcast a few times, where I'm like, hey, just stop, just keep him off ball, because every time he's tried to create, like he's losing the ball, and it just hasn't looked great. So I'm not saying that this should be the final, get rid of Ivy, it's over. I'm not saying that's it right now, but like all I'm saying is for everyone that's out there trying to say start him over Duncan, I don't see what the argument could be at all for starting him over Duncan. I honestly think this is an insane conversation for a team that's risen to first in the East with Duncan in the lineup, with how great Duncan's been. Like Duncan hasn't just been good; he's been fantastic in his role, and he's been one of the very best shooters in the entire NBA. I don't see how that's even a discussion. Now, what I do want to make a discussion though, Matt, is so Ivy only played 14 minutes though, and in this past game, and he was behind Caris, he was behind Dennis Jenkins. Do you think that he should be getting more minutes than those guys? Like, should they have been closing with him yesterday against Dallas? Like, where are we at right now? We're 12 games in, and he's still not really passing 20 minutes. Should we be seeing his minutes go up? Should he be taking Caris's minutes? Like, where do you think we stand right now with Ivy?
I'll reiterate, I don't think he should be taking anybody's minutes right now. I think, I will attribute a little bit to last night's minute disparity that Dennis and Sasser, like they were on the court when the run was made. And a lot of times coach, I don't think that coach went into the night thinking he was going to play Dennis as much in the second half as he did. Well, obviously, especially because of the injury and the Sargent toss. But I think that run the coach just stuck with the lineup that was working that well, getting into the fourth quarter. So, that's probably a little bit of the picture, but no, I don't really think that there's any reason that he should be playing more than Caris or Dennis. Personally, I think that Dennis's ball handling in particular is like such a necessity when Cade is off the court. And they've done a pretty good job. He's done a pretty good job in particular of just holding the fort down when that is the case, because we don't have we've got combo guard. Caris especially will handle the ball quite a bit. We've got combo guards, but we don't have another point guard in Dennis other than Dennis. So I'm happy with him in the rotation. He plays D. He's still pretty sound on offense. The shot obviously is not going in as much as it did when Jenkins' sanity was going on, but he's still been steady, I think, and I'm still happy with his minutes. And Caris is a little bit of roller coaster ride, but there's enough good there for me to think that I'm again still happy with what he's done.
So I think the argument that a lot of Ivy fans I've seen is it's Caris that they're really upset about that's playing over him. Do you think that you don't think Ivy should take any of Caris's minutes, and if not, why?
Well, I'll say that I think they definitely shouldn't play together. I'll say that. I think if anything else, I think I just think Caris is better right now. But pick one of the two. It just feels like those minutes together have felt particularly redundant, and it feels like the offense is not looking great.
I can back up that number. In the 114 minutes Ivy and Caris have played together, they are being outscored by 1.24 points.
Oh, so it's tough to not a lot of lineups getting outscored on this team right now.
That's what I was just about to say.
Real minutes, yeah. So yeah, that backs it up. I hadn't looked at that. Thank you. So you got to pick one, and Caris, I just think gives you a little bit more on both ends right now. Defensively, he could guard up a little bit when it does feel like. I think Caris is fine defensively. I feel like there are bad moments, but I think like he also can sit down and get stops in a way that not a lot of combo guards can, and he can kind of guard 1 through 3 sort of. So he brings some value on that end, even if it's not he's certainly not making anybody's all defensive team, but. And offensively, he is just a better shot creator, and he makes enough catch and shoot threes too. So I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, I think the Pistons find themselves, and we'll wrap it up here before we get to the trade I'm talking about here, but you find themselves in a situation where they're so good and they're winning so many games with what they've been doing, and now you're also trying to bring a guy back in, but you don't want to disrupt the winning that you're doing, because now it's not just that you're 6th, 7th, 8th seed. You're literally the top of the conference. So it's like you don't like you're at a there you go, yeah, 6, 7. You're literally at the top of the conference.
Phil Zoomer.
And you don't want to come on. Top of the conference, and you're like you can't ruin you don't want to take a chance at ruining it to try to get someone else involved, but you also have to get this guy involved because he's important to whether he's important immediately to the future in one way or the other. His outcome is important, so you need to figure out answers with that. And then Ivy and Caris don't play well together because I feel like they're kind of wanting to do some of the same things. At least Ivy's trying to do some of the same things, and neither of them are like a point guard either. But then, like you mentioned, Caris has just been so Caris gets, and there's been moments I'm not everyone knows I was not a big Caris.
His
guy.
Mistakes are loud. He suffers from his mistakes. Yes. He has the loudest mistakes on the team, and you just that's just gonna bias cloud people a little bit.
When he does something stupid, it's like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? But then you look at what he's done for the season. He's hit multiple clutch baskets. His shot creation has been great for them. They didn't have that off the bench last year. He's legitimately one of the only other shot creators they have. Right now, he's averaging 9.5 on 58 true shooting. He's shooting 41% from 3 for the Pistons. He's only averaging 1.3 turnovers. And I do think that he's been impactful defensively too, even though he had some moments where it's like, what were you doing? There's other moments throughout the entire game, really. I feel like he's playing well defensively. So it's like, you want to get more from Ivy, but okay, then who are you taking minutes from? And if you take minutes from them to give Ivy a chance to play more and kind of get accustomed, are you going to hurt the overall team if he's not playing as well as maybe you'd like him? It's a tough situation to be in, I think, because you don't want to sacrifice wins. And you don't want to put a guy in a position where he feels like maybe he's sacrificing wins because he's struggling to get back. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think you can start him over Duncan. But we'll see if he slowly starts to take more and more of Caris's minutes. He has gotten closer and closer to 20 outside this last game, so we'll see what it looks like on Saturday. But coming up, I have a trade. Everyone's been asking, Kook, stop talking about the guy that they need, the type of player they need. Just tell me what player it is that you want them to go after that you actually have identified. I found the player. I'm putting myself behind it, and I'll be this is it. So I'll tell you guys who that is, what the trade is, coming up after the break. Today's episode is brought to you by, if I can find it real quick, Gusto. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings and managing your business your payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in to take the stress off of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. Gusto's automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits save me hours every week. And knowing you can reach certified HR experts anytime gives you a real peace of mind. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA and get 3 months for free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time, that's gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. You get 3 months free when you run your first payroll with Gusto. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. All right, man, I'm going to talk about the player that I think they need to trade for. I'm completely behind going after them and going after this player and saying I think they make him so much better. First, this is what I want to start off with doing, though. Before I say the player, I want to build the argument here. So I'm not allowed to play clips on the podcast, right? But I can play because I don't want, the NBA, no fun league coming over to the NBA. But I can take screenshots. So I want to put this screenshot up. And Matt, what do you notice from this screenshot in the game? What do you think I'm about to talk about here? Your mic's muted. Your mic's muted. Your mic's muted. Oh, I did it. Oh, you're right.
Yeah, you did it. What are you talking about?
Go ahead.
Cade is being trapped, and he left the floor. I assume to try to make this jump pass over to Jalen Duren, but the Mavs have a lot of size. But he didn't pass it to Duren. I remember. I do know that he did not pass it to Duren.
Yeah,
right?
Correct.
Yes.
That is true. So I'll tell you guys what's happening here. Cade runs a pick and roll with Jalen Duren on the right side of the floor. The Mavs is trapped. On the weak side of the floor, they have Tobias on the wing. On the strong side, they have Ausar cutting along the baseline and Duncan in the corner. So what happens here, I'll explain it best for you guys listening on the audio platforms who can't see it. Tobias' defender, Cooper Flagg, rotates down to Jalen Duren to take away that role. Ausar is going to be cutting along the opposite baseline, which forces his defender, PJ Washington, to pay attention to him. So you have good spacing on the strong side. You got Duncan holding his defender, and then you're forcing Cooper Flagg to have to pick his spot. Either leave Tobias and go after Duren, or leave Duren wide open for a lob. If PJ Washington goes over and tries to tag on Duren, then Ausar gets a lob. Like the Pistons have a good situation here. This is what they want. Cade is going to make this pass to Tobias Harris, and Tobias misses. That's the outcome that I want to talk about. Tobias misses the shot. It's a wide open three above the break, right? It's on the left wing. It's wide open three. He misses it. We can take the screenshot away now. This is the problem. Matt, I bet you didn't know this, but I'll let you know. Tobias is shooting 30% on above the break threes. You want to know what percentile that is in the NBA?
I don't know. 28th.
And it's 19th percentile in the NBA.
Oh,
he's shooting 30% on above the break threes. He's 19th percentile. Last year for the Pistons, he shot 31% on above the break threes. The year before that, he shot 32% with Philly. All of these, he's in the 30th.
It's not his game. That's not his game. Yeah.
And thank you. That's where I'm about to go to next. Tobias's game is not three-point shoot. He does not want to shoot threes. And in a lineup where Cade, Ausar, and Duren are your main guys, you need your four-man to be someone that wants to shoot threes. Not someone when they catch the three, they're like, I got to take it. You want someone to catch this ball and be like, oh my God, I can't believe the defense just gave me this look. This is like my life. I'm so happy. Like, that's what you want at the four position. And that's just not what Tobias is. And especially above the break, which is where the Pistons have. We'll bring the screenshot up for those of you guys on YouTube. This is the situation the Pistons find themselves in so much because of how they guard Cade, how they guard Duren, how they guard Ausar. These above the break threes from your four-man is so much of their offense that is available, but they can't take advantage of it because they don't have someone on the floor from the four position that wants to let it go like that. Matt, just give me a second. I'll keep it going. Where do you think the Pistons rank in above the break threes? Percentile.
Oh.
Or actually not even percentile, just across the league.
Percentile is 30 teams.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, Cade, most of Cade's catch and shoot threes are above the break.
Correct.
He's like 30%, which we just learned is like 19th percentile. I'll say in above the break threes, they rank 26th.
They're better than that. They're 20th. So they rank 20th in the NBA in above the break catch and shoot threes. Not catch and shoot, but just overall above the break threes. They're including pull-ups, I'm assuming, in that. They need someone that can shoot threes, man. They need someone at the four position that can let it go. They need someone at the four position that is, especially, not someone who's good from the corners, not a PJ Tucker. They need a guy who, above the break, is just making teams pay. Because I believe, I'm sure you'll probably agree with this, but I believe the gravity from someone who can hit above the break threes like that is different from someone who can just hit catch and shoot threes. It spreads the floor out way more and provides a different level of spacing for your team. The Pistons need that, especially with how teams want to guard him, guard the Cade, guard the pick and roll with Duren. How Ausar is cutting along the baseline opens things up. Like, that's going to be open so much. But they don't have someone that can take advantage of it. You want to know a player, Matt, that is currently shooting 42%?
Why are you smiling like this, man? 42% on above. You make it seem like there's gonna be a troll player. Like you're gonna bring up somebody. Disgraced.
I don't know. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. Who knows what you guys could think it's a troll player. You want to know? Would you think a player that's shooting 42% on above the break threes could be, I don't know, pretty impactful for the team?
It could be, or they could suck. That could happen too. I don't want to trade for Steve Novak,
All right. Here's the player I'm behind.
Channing Frye.
Matt already knows who it is. It's MPJ.
Oh, yeah.
Go trade for MPJ.
Yeah.
Trade for MPJ. He's in the 81st percentile and above the break threes. Listen to this.
Who just wants a podcast? Who just wants him on Locked On Pistons, to be clear.
I mean, if he came on Locked On Pistons, that'd be great too. But
the MPJ
I mean, look, that would be great.
The podcast clout that he brings.
I mean, look, listen, like I said, if MPJ all of a sudden said, I want to come on Locked On Pistons, we would say, welcome on board. But listen, MPJ is, I feel like exactly what this team is needing. He's shooting 41% on above the break threes. This is with a volume. He's in the 73rd percentile in volume from above the break as well. So this is an insane volume and able to shoot as well as he is. We all know how great of a season he's having overall. But I believe that what he's doing is scalable down. We've seen him scale down and help win a championship for Denver in with Jokic. Obviously, he's playing with Jokic, but he's playing with Cade. It's not like he's playing with another trash guy. He's playing with another top 10 player. It's not. He's going to be clearly
the trash guy.
Down. Right. He's clearly scaled. He can scale down, and in the positions that Cade opens up, that Duren opens up, Ausar opens up, he would just feast on it. He's an off-ball player. He's not someone that needs the ball in his hands to isolate or anything. All of his work happens off the ball. And Matt, this is something I'm going to say for you, because me and you have talked about MPJ before, and you kind of bring this up and try to trash it a little bit. But guess who you know who I listened to bring up this exact point? You want to know who I listened to that brought up this exact point I've made to you about MPJ multiple times that you've tried to poo-poo? My friend of the podcast, Jason Timpf, who was a part of the volume. I think you know who Jason is. Has his own podcast, Lakers guy. I forget what
he's the guy who says like Shea sucks, right?
No, but he is the guy that complains about the
he's like a Luka
the flopping. No, I mean I think he likes Shea, but he's not. He just doesn't like the flopping stuff, whatever. Oh yeah, no, yeah, Luka over Shea, yeah, for sure. But he was talking about MPJ. He was talking about the Pistons, actually. He was watching one of the Pistons guys, I think 2 days ago. He was talking about Cade being a top 10 player, MVP kind of guy, whatever. And he said, I really think MPJ would be the perfect fit for this team. He brought up the offensive stuff I talked about, But then defensively, you want to know what he brought up that I've brought up to you multiple times that you seem to say I've just made up in my head? but he said, he spoke about how, he's not going to be as good on ball as Tobias because he's not as strong. He's a much better defensive rebounder. He's a much better defensive rebounder. And oh my God, he's actually a pretty decent weak side rim protector when you have. I was told by Matt that I just made this stuff.
I've always said that.
So at the end of the day, and then I'll leave. I had to build the argument for everyone listening as well. So I'll let you go. I just have to build the argument to wrap it up here. I think not only is he a perfect fit for what the Pistons absolutely need, I think he would elevate this team to I do think if they got MPJ, I'm taking them to Eastern Conference Finals. I think they can make the final. I think he's really good. I think he's really what they need. The last thing I'll say, everyone thinks that he's on this big contract. He's not. He's only getting paid 38 this year, 40 next year, and then he's off the books. He's on the contract for this year and next year. So let's just say if it didn't work out, we know Trajan loves flexibility. He could get off his contract literally next year. He's expiring, or he could just write it off. Or if he plays really well, you can extend a guy who's playing extremely well at 28 years old next offseason, maybe for a lesser number, maybe for a better. Like, you have flexibility. It's not one of those contracts like Lauri's where it's on the contract for 3-4 more years or anything like that. It's this year, next year, and then you have the flexibility to choose what you want to do with them when you get them. You're not stuck here. So all of that. If you want to ask me what does the trade look like, we can eventually get to that. But because I did talk with some Nets guys to figure out what it is they would want. But Matt, what do you feel? Just go ahead and give your thoughts on that. Go ahead. I know.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I wouldn't say that. He is the perfect fit. My number one contention has always been I don't completely understand why the Nets would feel the need to trade him. Or particularly to us for like the picks or the pick that we could offer, just given that there's just not very much upside to a Pistons pick right now. But with all that being said, no, I think that you're right that he would fit in like a glove, like he does kind of just address our need immediately. And I think it makes way more sense to trade for him than Markkanen, for example, largely because of the points that you laid out about his contract. And if you trade for Markkanen, friends, we're probably not going to be able to pay Ausar unless we can get rid of Markkanen before that day comes. And we definitely wouldn't be able to pay Holland. So that's completely off of the table to me. But regarding MPJ, like, I don't know that I would give up the whole, wagon for him necessarily, even if you felt like confident that he would resign. I do think that there are still limitations to his game that maybe manifest themselves more in Denver, but there's clearly more to him than I thought that there was in Denver, just really as a passer. I think nobody could ever dispute that if he took 12 threes a game, they would start being like bad threes or like his percent. Like I always said, why doesn't he take more threes? That was really my big piece of contention in Denver is like, why isn't he taking 10 or 11? Now he is new. Obviously nobody can contest him. So that it's not like the volume or the percentage has dropped off. And I mean, feels like they run a set for him every play down. Him and Markkanen both kind of share that in common. And that's where another, I guess, red flag sort of pops up for me, that two terrible teams, the two like crazy high volume efficient scores in basketball on like the worst teams, the two off ball ones on the worst, like clear, it's not translating to anything. Like these guys that are just kind of, they have good offensive coaches that run a lot of structured offense, and these guys are the best play finishers on the team. And so they're featured to the level that they can accrue 27, 28 points per game. And it's valuable and it's very impressive, but I don't know that you're getting the Markkanen. I don't know that you're getting the MPJ that you see in this context if they are asked to come be a second and a half or third option. I mean, we saw Cam Johnson had a career year in the sort of MPJ role last year. He was getting all-star buzz like MPJ is right now, right? Like, so I have my questions about what it all kind of means for these guys in said situation. Bridges also, of course, had his career year in sort of a similar situation, but did it differently than Cam and MPJ. I say all that to really say at the end of the day, though, I mean, like you said, this team needs shooting really badly. He's a very good rebounder. He's definitely not a good defender. I'd say that he's a below average defender, but there is value in him as like a weak side rim protector. I mean, that's kind of, I feel like we're killing it with that. Like of all things on defense, I feel like weak side rim protection, we're straight. But whatever, he can do that, and I would love to have him. I mean, if it took one first, he is frankly, I think, an annoying idiot. But if it took one first and a couple sweetener players, I'd totally pull the trigger.
All right, so before we wrap up, because I know we're getting late into the podcast, I want to bring all these points up. I know the next question from people is, okay, what's the trade look like? There's two different trades. I talked with some Nets people today, figure out what the trade would look like. First one is obviously the Jaden Ivey Tobias in the first. That's the first one that everyone's going to circle around. That's the trade package that everyone's throwing out for anybody for the Pistons. My understanding is, and not talking with someone in the front office with the Nets, but like Nets people in the community that cover them, they don't believe the Nets are going to want Ivey. If the Pistons were to send it, they don't think they would want Ivey. They don't need him. So if you did that, maybe you could like a 3-team trade or something, but I doubt you're doing all that for MPJ. So the next trade that they told me that the Pistons could do that would be interesting to them is if they took expiring contracts like MPJ or not MPJ, like Tobias and Caris, and attached multiple future firsts, and you just kept Ivey. I don't know if any. I feel like there's people in the community that would rather do that than trade Ivey, and I think there's a lot of people in the community that would rather just trade Ivey. And like, so I'm interested to see how many of the fans that listen to this fall on which side. Like, would you rather? If you are on board with MPJ, and if you're on board like trading for, would you rather do the Ivey Tobias first package and see if that would work? Or would you rather take expiring to just attach 2 first-round picks for whatever to go after MPJ, attach maybe 2 future first, not this year's first, but 2 like 27, 29 first or whatever for him with like expiring deals. That's the 2 deals I heard talking with some Nets people that they can only see the only 2 ways that they see the Nets maybe getting on board with it. And then the last thing to wrap it up is you mentioned the whole, you mentioned how they're playing and them not being a very good team. I don't know if I'm sure you've probably have heard this, but there's been some noise apparently in the Nets community and from people who cover the team that they are winning too much recently. The last 15 games, they're 7-11 over the last 15 games, and apparently they're doing really well with MPJ.
Danny Wolf.
Yeah, and
Danny
I was
Wolf
just about to say,
rotation.
Danny Wolf is playing really well.
No, they're playing huge. Yeah, they are starting to win.
So there's some people apparently in the community, like over the last 15 games, they're winning MPJ's minutes when he's on the floor. I just had it. It just disappeared. They're winning his minutes by 2.1 points. So, like, there's a lot of people apparently that are like, look, you got to move them because you asked the question, like, why would they want to move them? It seems like they think they're going to win too much, like not be a bottom.
Well, don't worry. Cam Thomas is coming back and all the losing will begin again.
Fair enough. But that's why I think they maybe could want to move. I saw some other Nets people talk about if they could get another first, now they can say they got 2 firsts for Cam Johnson at the end of the day, and that would be a really good whatever. But like the bigger part is they think they might be winning too much, and they want to be like the worst team, second worst team to get a top odds. So I think that's why they would move them. That you guys can write it down. You know, it is what it is. Khahil, MPJ, go get him. I think he's a perfect fit on the team. But we'll end it there. Matt, thank you for coming on the podcast, man. You can find Matt over on Twitter at Griff1on1. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Khahil. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Hit that subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review. Until next time, see you guys later. Peace out, everybody, and stay safe.